Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Courtney. I don't know if you guys realized, but I looked up the other day and realized that we have just over a month until the end of the year, which is absolutely insane. I feel like for at least me, after around April or May, the rest of the year up until this point has been a complete and utter blur. Somehow though, I have managed to stay on track with my Goodreads reading goal for this year. My goal this year was to read 60 books and I'm at 52, maybe 53, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know how I've managed to stay on track because I feel like there were several periods where I just wasn't reading anything, but I guess I do kind of get in these moods sometimes where I'll read like nothing and then the next 2 days I'll read like 3 books. Either way, I was checking in on my Goodreads goal and it got me thinking about how I'm gonna reach my goal by the end of the year. I have 8 more books to read in about 5 weeks, which is definitely over like my average pacing. Like I'm gonna need to be locking in and reading and reading and reading. Club, bus, book, another book, another book. Anyways, that's why today I am sitting down with you all to share with you the books that are highly on my radar for the end of the year and going into 2025. These are just books that I really want to read so freaking bad, and these are the ones that I'm going to be reaching for as I'm trying to reach my goal. Now, like I said, I do have 8 more books to read until I reach my goal, and knowing how I read, like the pace that I read, realistically, I'm definitely not going to get to all of these books. But I've been mood reading lately, so I don't know which of these I'm going to get to, but these are the ones that I'm going to be reaching for. So let that just be known. I want to go ahead and share the books that are on Kindle that I want to read, just so that I don't forget to share those. And I don't know if I'm going to be giving like descriptions of all of these books or not, maybe for some of them, but others of them I don't know enough about them to really talk on them, so I'm just going to tell you what they are. And that's mainly the ones on Kindle. So the 2 books on Kindle that I really want to read before the end of the year, I want to read Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli, and I also want to read Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. Both of these are fantasy books and I've been seeing a lot of people talk about them, yet somehow I still don't know what they're even about. I've been hearing everyone say they're absolutely obsessed, ate it up, but I don't know what they're about. I know I looked at Phantasma and that one seems actually cool, the little synopsis. It's basically giving me Caraval vibes, but in a haunted mansion. And I think that that's going to be way more spooky just because it's one enclosed space. So that sounds really good to me. And then Heartless Hunter, I think that this one is about witches. Ooh, it says The Crimson Moth Book 1. I didn't know that there's more books or that there's going to be more books than this one. So that's super exciting. Yeah, I think I've heard in passing that this is about witches, but if I'm completely off base, just ignore me because I don't know what this book is about. I just know that I really want to read it. So that's that. Those are the 2 books that I have on Kindle that I want to read before the year is over. Now we're going to get into the books that I have on my physical TBR. I don't know exactly how many this is, maybe like 13 or so. I have some fantasy books, romance, and then 2 thriller books, and one that I don't know what category it fits in, but I do want to read that one too. Ooh, my hips are locking up sitting like this, y'all. Okay. So the first book on my physical TBR that I want to read before the year is over is The House on the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Earlier in the year for book club, we read Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, and I absolutely fell in love with that story. Just the way it was written as well as like the content of the story. So that's what I'm hoping this one is going to give as well. This one, our main character is a caseworker for magical youth, and he ends up getting assigned to go to this orphanage where there's 6 magical children, and he kind of has to decide if they're dangerous or not. And I saw that my library has the second one to this, so that's super exciting because I won't have to buy it to read it. Also heard wonderful things about this one. The next book I want to read is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I've actually had this book for a while. I've seen a lot of people on BookTube talk about it. This book is a thriller, and as I'm looking at the cover, it has all of this like icy tree situation. So this one's giving me going into winter vibes. In this book, we have a couple who's been struggling with their marriage, and they win a weekend getaway to Scotland, and basically the getaway either makes or breaks their marriage, and I'm interested to see which one it is. Next book I want to read is If We Were Villains by ML Rio. Don't know what this one is about either. I know that it's like a thriller, and I think that it's centered around a murder that happened in high school. Years later, they're looking at it again, or something along those lines. But if we were villains, ML Rio. Okay, this is where we get into the romance section of this TBR. The next two books that I want to read are the third and fourth book in the Boys of Tommen series. I really want to read Saving Six and Redeeming Six. These are Joey's story, and honestly, I don't know how I felt about Joey when I was reading Binding 13. Obviously, I wasn't ignoring him, but I wasn't paying the closest attention to him, but he was low-key getting on my nerves. I can remember that. But I also know that there's a lot that goes into why Joey is the way he is, and that's what we're going to get in these books, so I'm excited to pick these up. I absolutely love the Boys of Tommen series from what I've read so far, so I'm excited to get back in here and kind of be with some familiar characters again. I'm sure that characters from the other two books will be in this one as well. All of these books I really want to read, but these are very high at the top of the list. Another book that's very high on the list is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. We all know that this is about a toxic relationship between London socialite and kind of like a bad boy. I've heard this one described as similar to Gossip Girl, just in London, and Gossip Girl is my favorite show. And I know that the Magnolia Parks series is some people's favorite series ever, so I'm interested to see what that's all about. Alright, this book is one that will... Are we entering the fantasy? Yes, we're entering into the fantasy books. I want to finish up the Caraval series. This is the last one. We have Finale. The Caraval series isn't one that I've been obsessed with or anything, but they're definitely enjoyable to read. I mainly want to finish this one so I can jump into the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, because I've heard a lot better things about that one. But these are super fun and very magical, so I'll be interested to see how this book ends, or this trilogy ends, and also what happens with the romance in this. This next book is about to steal the show. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now listen, I've heard a lot of different things about how you should read this series, and I'm a very indecisive person, which is why it's taken me so long to start the series. So many people said read Assassin's Blade first, like read it in chronological order, and then I've had other people tell me, yeah, to start with Throne of Glass. So I'm just going to start with Throne of Glass and read it in the order that Sarah J. Maas has put out. I feel like I should just trust the source, you know? So this one I'm definitely gonna start reading extremely soon. It was one of my goals for this year to read this whole series. Obviously that didn't happen, but 2025 is our year. The next two books I want to read are Duology, that is the Six of Crows duology. This one is on my November TBR, so we'll probably will read this one this month, but maybe we'll get to this one before the year is over as well. In Six of Crows, our main character needs to perform a heist, so he recruits these criminals that all have skills that they can bring to help him pull it off. And I'm sure this one is kind of similar. Then we have Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. In this one, our female main character needs a job desperately, and she sees a posting to be an assistant to the town's villain, and she takes up that opportunity, and the story goes on from there. I also want to read City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series. I read the first 3 of these books when I was in middle school, but that's as far as I've gotten, so I would love to read all of this series and the other series that comes out of this from her. In the first book, our FMC is finding out that demons and monsters actually exist in the real world, and shadow hunters exist to rid the world of them. She gets sucked into this world and everything just happens from there. And the last 2 books that I want to read in 2024, hopefully, is Powerful by Lauren Roberts as well as Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Absolutely A-up Powerless, and I'm expecting nothing less from these two. I highly considered doing the tandem read, rereading Powerless and reading it with this. I don't know if we'll do that or not, maybe, because I think that it would make the novella even better, especially with how things end in Powerless, so I don't know. But those are all of the books that I really want to read before the year is over. Obviously, like I already said, I'm not going to get to all of these books, but I definitely will get to some of them, and the ones I don't get to is what I will be starting off 2025 with. Let me know what books you want to read before the year is over and how close to your Goodreads goal you are, or if you've already met your Goodreads goal. Pop off. I will see you all in my next video. It's going to be a very, very, very exciting one. So stay tuned, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. Bye!